Since the 1960s, Ed and Lorraine Warren have been known as the most famous paranormal detectives in the world. Lorraine is a clairvoyant, while Ed is the only non-ordained demonologist recognized by the Catholic Church. From the thousands of cases in their controversial career, there is one so evil that they kept it secret until now. Based on a true story. Brookhaven version, The Conjuring.
At the beginning of the year 1950, in a small town called Brookhaven, the residents lived in their humble homes with only basic knowledge just to survive and stay united. But a little far from town, there was an elderly couple who lived with their only son on their small farm. However, in that house, there was a negative energy surrounding the couple's home. Only their son could see some paranormal things, causing fear and trauma in his childhood. But since he was only a child, his already elderly parents thought it was just his imagination, that soon he would stop with those ghostly hallucinations. The elderly couple had even asked the only priest in town to visit their home to try to help the child. However, on the day the priest visited the house, the negative energy surrounding the home grew more irritated by his presence, and the townspeople thought the blame for everything was the boy's mother, who was simply an old woman.
Hi, my dear. I just got home from work. How was your day?
Hi, my love. People think I'm a witch and that the blame for everything we're going through is mine. But I would never harm our son, and I've always believed him.
I know, my dear. I believe in both of you. Very soon we'll move out of this house and everything will be fine.
At nightfall, the elderly couple and their son went to sleep early as usual. But when midnight came, the haunting that had been tormenting the family grew furious because the priest had stepped inside the house the day before. Hearing a strange noise in the house, the old man woke up startled, but thought it might only have been a nightmare.
My God, I think I had a horrible nightmare.
Startled in the middle of the night, the old man decided to go check on his son as he usually did. But to his great shock, he saw his son lying on the floor badly injured, and right next to him was the apparition that had been tormenting the family. In his desperation, upon seeing his son hurt, he didn't notice the apparition at his side, and unfortunately, both of them were attacked by the terrifying ghost. After the old man and the couple's only son were killed by the apparition, the elderly woman began hearing noises around the house. When she woke up, she noticed her husband wasn't in bed. Not understanding what was happening, she started looking for her beloved husband and son. But when she got near her son's room door, she saw a strange liquid spilled there. Entering the room to check what it was, she was shocked by the scene. Her son and husband were lying dead on the floor. While trying to convince herself it was just a nightmare, the haunting presence in the house began causing disasters. In the middle of the fire spreading through her home, the old woman tried to get outside to ask the neighbors for help, since her husband and son were trapped inside. As daylight came, the neighbors approached to see why the house was going through such supernatural disasters. And as the entire town gathered to witness the reason the house was like that, they saw the poor old lady coming out wounded. At that moment, the townspeople believed she was guilty of everything. But none of them had the gift of seeing the supernatural. The real culprit was the apparition. Yet seeing only the old woman alive in that house, the townspeople thought she was an evil witch. Since they already knew the house was haunted, they became enraged and imprisoned the poor old lady, believing she was an evil witch, and executed the last survivor of the home. 10 years after the incident, the townspeople were more modern, and everyone had forgotten what had happened at that farm. It was even up for sale. Upon learning that the farm was for sale, a family became interested in the house and went to visit. When they arrived, the seller began to show the farm to the family. The family thought the farm was very beautiful, but a little neglected because of the years that had passed. While the seller was showing the place, they noticed something strange in the backyard. To avoid telling the true story of what it was, the seller said it was just an old decoration of the house, but the new family could not imagine what it really was. After showing the outside of the farm, the seller finally took them inside. They noticed it was completely abandoned and hadn't been cleaned in years. After evaluating the whole farm, the father of the new family decided to buy the house for them to live in. After handing over the money, the seller left, trying to be as discreet as possible. But what the family didn't know was that behind the barn, the old residents were still there. After the family bought their humble house, the parents and the children started organizing it since it was a total mess. They began cleaning and arranging everything to make it just the way they wanted. But as night came, the family got ready to rest as they had had a very tiring day. At sunrise, the parents were sitting in front of their farm, just watching their kids play in the backyard. But while they were playing ball, one of the brothers kicked it really hard, and the ball rolled a bit farther and towards the barn. As one of them went to fetch the ball, he saw something strange. When he got closer, he noticed there was a skeleton hidden there. They thought it was nothing serious and even began playing with the skeleton. But when one of the brothers touched it, he had reactivated the old haunting of the house. At that moment, everything still seemed fine. But when night came, the family sat down for dinner. While they were all at the table, the house began showing some shadows. The parents thought the children were joking or just scared because they had recently moved into the farm. But when it was time to sleep, all the kids stayed together in one room since they were afraid. In the middle of the night, the house started making strange noises. It sounded like someone was walking on the roof, but the kids were so terrified they couldn't even call their parents. While the parents slept in their room, the mother woke up in the middle of the night and saw someone standing at the bedroom door, watching. Since the room was completely dark, she got up to see closer and ended up getting a big scare. At sunrise, the first thing the father did was ask for help. He picked up the phone and called the most famous paranormal detectives in the world. They were specialists in any paranormal activity, but liked to be called simply Ed and Lorraine Warren.
Hello, how can I help you?
Hello, I need your help. Last night, something very strange happened in my house, and I need you to help my family.
After receiving the call for help, Ed went to tell his partner what was happening. They quickly went into their forbidden room in their house to get their work equipment. That room was only open to people who were hunters of legends because it was extremely dangerous. There were many trapped invocations inside. After gathering all the necessary equipment for today's work, the couple began preparing to head to the family's house and try to discover more about what was happening to them. Upon arriving at the humble farm where the family lived, Lorraine Warren immediately felt a strange presence there and even had visions of some apparitions. However, she still needed confirmation to be sure if it was indeed the haunting that was disturbing the family.
Hello, good morning. Thank you so much for coming to my house. I'm sure you'll be able to help my family.
Good morning. Don't worry, we will help you.
Before entering the house, Miss Lorraine Warren pulled Ed aside to tell him that she had already had a vision, and that the moment they arrived, she saw there was a very powerful apparition. When they went inside, the paranormal detectives asked the family to show them which part of the house they heard the noises from, and where they thought it could all be coming from. The family led the detectives to a certain part of the house, believing that was the spot the noises and strange movements were coming from. Realizing the location, the detectives and their assistant began installing several cameras around the house to try to capture any movement. Still uncertain about that place, the detectives decided to investigate further. As they managed to pass through to the other side, they found a very strange and creepy area. They suspected the monster might be hiding somewhere there. Not even the family knew such a strange place existed in their home. After discovering that creepy spot, the detectives started adding some cameras there as well, since Lorraine Warren felt a strange presence in that place. After setting up all the recording equipment and leaving everything ready to try to catch something, the detectives went to talk to the family.
Everything is ready, family. We've left our equipment spread throughout your house to try to capture any strange presence. Tomorrow morning, we'll return to check the recordings.
At nightfall, the paranormal detectives left the family's house to return to their own home. Since the next morning, they would come back to see if the cameras had managed to capture anything out of the ordinary. That night, the family gathered to sleep all together in the living room because they were very scared. But around a certain hour of the night, the house started making strange noises and the lights began to flicker, leaving the family terrified. And before they knew it, the mother of the family began to be possessed by the entity of the house. She started making strange movements that showed clearly she wasn't well. It seemed like someone was controlling her. She was in need of help, but the father of the family didn't know what to do. And as time went on, the situation got worse. She was making unnatural movements. The children were so scared they couldn't even get out of bed to ask for help. At a certain point, the mother was completely controlled by the haunting and ended up attacking her husband. The father fell to the ground, badly hurt, but luckily the group of paranormal detectives arrived at the house just in time. When they saw what was happening, they immediately began trying to expel the entity that was in that house. They took the woman who was being controlled by the entity and led her to the place where it could have been causing all of this to the family. Being great specialists in the field of paranormal activities, they started the procedure to try to cast the haunting out of her. They left her seated on a chair while carrying out the liberation process. But realizing they needed more help, the detectives called for the priest.
Hello, detectives. Of course I can help you. I'm already on my way.
After receiving the request for help, the town priest immediately went to the house of the family who was suffering from the haunting. When he arrived, the presence of the priest made the entity even more furious. But with the help of the three of them, they began to pray to remove all the evil from the mother of the family. With the help of the three, they managed to free all the evil that had been trapped in the woman. She regained her consciousness, but they still had to remove the haunting that was in the house. Finally, they managed to defeat the entity and set her free. To keep everything safe, the paranormal detectives captured that haunting to take it back to their own home, where it would remain trapped and unable to harm anyone. When they arrived at their house, they locked that haunting inside their forbidden room and sealed it with 15 keys so it would never be able to escape again. Kept in that special place, the entity would never again harm anyone.
And for years, the most dangerous entity in the world remained locked and sealed for decades in the home of Ed and Lorraine Warren. They were the true heroes for that humble family.